The player may be wondering why they should be playing this game. Reason being, an epic adventure awaits them. They will learn the heart of man and the pain of betrayal. Their quest is to find out who they are in a world where allies come few and far between. Their story begins when they are captured by sky pirates for unknown reasons. While they sit there trying to figure out a way out, an unknown ally comes to the rescue. Hesitant to trust this unknown individual until he tosses the scroll of their grandfather, they begin to understand that he is an ally and not a foe. He helps you break free while fighting off the captors. The player has a gift, a power. It draws the attention of many throughout the world. They do not know it yet, how to control it. With this ally, they set out to find their grandfather, explore their powers, and traverse this new world. The player navigates through the ship, the world, and the story, choosing where, when, and what to do. There is opportunity knocking at every door in this tropical world. You can raise new machines with your powers, learn how to control their power. You can find clues answering who they are, defeating hordes of pirates bent on capturing them, and the list goes on. So run, fight, collect, and upgrade. How you progress is tied to your growth and your playstyle. They can play this game single player with 3 different characters to play that they can switch between, or take on the game with a team full of 3 people, co-op. Many systems have been built into this game to enable the player to take on this game their way.
Here's a brief overview of our systems. Character movement will be split between roaming the world and traveling in the player's ship. For short distances, players can even use boosts and hooks abilities to fly around the map or grapple to hard-to-reach or hidden spots that's within the map. Crafting will also be a big part of the player's day, as they will scavenge parts and hope they can put them together. Combat will also be a breeze with Sedina's powers and weapons that players can find for occasions like these. Players will also get the option to test all the abilities and see how they work together to help them beat puzzles and solve riddles.
Flight will be a big part of the game, whether it be traveling, in combat, or just exploring the world. Finding the player's mastery of flight will be essential to survival, as they fight bosses and solve puzzles and challenges along their way. Players can open new areas of the map via flight, discovering missions, challenges, hidden gems, and Easter eggs in each area. When exploring the world with the characters, players can mix and match flight with the grapple system for maximum control. Flight is enabled by Boost, and he attaches to the player and allows them to fly. Hook allows the player to grapple onto many surfaces, reaching hard to get to areas. He can also develop moves that draw in enemies as the player rises and spins on the X-axis, while Sedina's sparks fly through the chain zapping her adversaries. Or grab enemies mid-air and toss them at your foes. Combo moves like these can be unlocked during gameplay. Suffice to say, flight and grappling will play a substantial role in many aspects of the game, doling out new areas, items, and more that will enhance the experience for the player.
It's a big world to explore, and many things to discover and interact with. As players traverse the open map, they'll find many unique items to loot and scavenge. These parts come in handy with the crafting of weapons or to upgrade your robot friends. It's a really straightforward process. Find or buy blueprints, make sure you have all the parts, and get to building. Players will also be able to buy rare crafting items from vendors if you're having too much trouble with that one part. Craft unique ammo types, customizable weapons and attachments. Loot breakable containers and trash to find money, spark, or parts. The player will be able to use spark to upgrade their abilities and skill trees to unlock new attacks and maneuvers to use in-game. They'll also be used to upgrade Serena's spark capacity. As the game progressively gets harder and harder, you'll have to find new ways to use these systems to build your own style and beat the baddies.
Combat is a core part of our game, and that can easily be seen through the number of ways to take it on. Weapons are attainable in a number of places throughout our game, through questing, looting, and more. Guns come in all shapes and sizes, so the player can take their pick to what gun suits them best. Not a fan of gunplay? There are plenty of ability options to be explored within the player's inventory, allowing for our players to customize how they want to magically destroy their enemies. Maybe you only like to keep your foes at an arm's length away. Melee combat systems from fists to swords, the fight is always within the player's hands. With many more combat options for the player to explore, how will you build to take on your enemies? The choice is yours. Our game is a fast-paced, vastly spaced, storyline-based action-adventure game. There are many puzzles to be solved, and even more bosses to be defeated, as players will progress through the story. There are many NPCs that the player can interact with throughout the game. With the player in control at all times, the player chooses how these interactions will take place, and whether they want to make an ally or a foe of these NPCs. The player's choices will hold great weight and impact on the story. These decisions will impact how the player's story will end, as the game has numerous possibilities to how it will all go down. Through these choices, the player will get to explore a broad world on their own terms.
For platforms, to maximize accessibility for our game, we want to include as many means of play as possible. As such, we have included both core consoles, Xbox and PlayStation. These consoles both have very large player bases that we want to make sure this game is accessible to. We are bringing this game to PC, as our goal is to make the world we create look stunning, as PC has greater capabilities to do so. VR is another mode in which a player can play this game, which will offer a more immersive experience for players who desire it. We also plan to maximize accessibility through making the game available on mobile as well, so players can play this game whenever and wherever.
All of these systems combine to make our game the endeavor of Sedina Spark. Thank you for your time, and we hope you give our game the spark it needs.